Hi, welcome to the video solution for Edexcel IEL Physics. This is October 2019, Unit 6. So let's start. Question number 1. A student determined the density of metal. She measured a thin square sheet of the metal. The length of each side of a sheet was 30 plus minus 1 centimeter. She folded the metal sheet in half. She continued to fold the metal sheet in half until it has been folded 5 times. She's folding in half. Remember, this is key idea. So she used a micrometer screw gauge or micrometer to measure the total thickness of the folded sheet. So state one reason for measuring the thickness of the folded sheet rather than an unfolded sheet. Clearly, if you fold the sheet, so thickness is going to increase. That will make percentage uncertainty to be less, or you can say that folding causes percentage uncertainty to reduce, because percentage uncertainty is uncertainty divided by measured value. So if measured value is more, then percentage uncertainty will be less. So folding causes thickness to increase, due to which percentage uncertainty is going to reduce or decrease. Explain one other technique she should use to ensure that the measurement of the thickness of the folded sheet is accurate. Again, a typical question generally comes in exam whenever they talk about measurement from micrometer screw gauge, whether it is they talk about diameter of a wire or maybe some thickness. So generally we say that we should take multiple reading from different places or different orientation, and we should use mean value in order to reduce random error. So that's how you can explain. The micrometer scale reading for each measurement is shown below. So for pictures, record the measurement in the table. So remember, this is the micrometer screw gauge, and the reading on the main scale. This reading on the main scale is shown generally in millimeter. And resolution of the whole micrometer screw gauge, resolution, or you say the least count, is 0.01 millimeter. The smallest measurement is called resolution. So these two things are important when you do measurement from micrometer screw gauge. So the idea is, first you need to take measurement from the main scale, and which is, you see clearly it is 0 millimeter, and then you read the scale on this circular one. So this is the horizontal line coming from the main scale, and then you need to read this line. So this is 45, 46, and 47. So 47 is always multiplied by the resolution, which is 0.01. When you multiply these two, you will have 0.47 millimeter. So this is the reading in millimeter from the circular scale, and then you add these two together to get the final result. So this is 0 plus 0.47. That means first reading should be 0.47 millimeter, and this one is for 45, 46, 47, 49. So 49 multiplied by resolution plus again 0, so 0.49 millimeter, and this is 45, again 0.47 millimeter, and this is 0.48 millimeter. That's what you can fill. But remember, whenever you are completing a given table, make sure that if some units are missing, so you should write unit here, so you can fill the table. So first reading, the first diagram 0.47, second one 0.49, 0.47, 0.48. Calculate the mean thickness and corresponding uncertainty. Clearly we don't have any anomalous result, so we take all the 4 reading. Mean value is, you can say t, thickness is 0.47 plus 0.49 plus 0.47 plus 0.48 divided by 4, and then t would be equal to 0.4775, and you round it off to two significant figures, so you can say 0.48 millimeter. This is the thickness and corresponding uncertainty. So uncertainty delta t is range divided by 2, and range is 0.49 minus 0.47, 0.49 minus 0.47 divided by 2. So your answer will be 0.01 millimeter. So thickness t is 0.48 plus minus 0.01 millimeter. The student weighed the folded sheet and recorded the mass as 3.62 plus minus 0.01 gram. Calculate a value for density of the metal in kilogram per meter cube. So we need to find density. It's quite a straightforward question because we are given mass and we have the size or dimensions of the sheet. But there is a tricky part in this question, because if you put the if you substitute the number, so formula is rho is equal to mass over volume. Clearly mass is in, because we need to find density in kilogram, which is in gram, mass is in gram, so you need to convert. So 0.003 divided by 1000, 362 divided by volume. Here is a trick in the volume. Generally, if you see, you had a square sheet. You had a square sheet of size 30 centimeter plus minus, uncertainty is all is there, 30 and by 30, but you folded it in half. That means it becomes yeah, I should, you know okay, when you fold it in half one time, then the width will be 15 and 30, and you again fold it in half, so then width will be 7.5 and 30, and you keep folding till 5 times, 5 fold as per your original question. So the idea is, when you have a final sheet after 5 folds, so you would have something like very thin, this is 30, and you need to find that, you know that width. So length, width, and height. Our height is the thickness. So height is thickness, which is, we already found this thickness. If you see, this is thickness t. We already found 0.48 in previous case. So we have a length, we have a thickness, but we don't have w. This is the trick. How do you find that w? So look at that. So you can do 0.3 is the length, because length is given in 30 centimeter. We need to put in meter. So 0.3 meter times. Idea is, you can keep, you can calculate 1 by 1, 15, 30, 15, and so on. But the idea is, the total length was 0.3 initially, and it is folded 5 times. So there will be 32 layers. There will be 32 layers when you fold this sheet 5 times. And I will suggest that you take a piece of paper and try to fold it 5 times and see how many layers you can find in this final sheet. So clearly you will find 32 layers. If you fold it 4 times, then there will be 16 layers. So if you fold it 4 times, so there will be 16 layers. That means 2 to the power n. N is the number of fold. So this is number of layers when you fold a sheet. So width will be 0.3 divided by 32 into thickness, and thickness is 0.48, but it was in millimeter, so you must write 10 to the power minus 3. This is the key idea in finding the density. So if you solve this, the density would be equal to 2681.48, or you can round it off 2681.5 kilogram per meter cube. Part 2, it is suggested that the metal is aluminum, which has a density of 2710 kilogram per meter cube. Deduce whether the metal could be aluminum or not. So the idea is, if they give you some standard value and you need to figure out whether the given material is made of that, so you compare their densities. Or the best idea is you compare percentage uncertainty in the density with the percentage difference that you calculated. So first we find out percentage difference, and the percentage difference, let me just erase this so we can see the whole calculation, because we don't have a place here. So percentage difference is percentage difference is observed value minus standard value divided by standard value, and this is absolute sign here, multiply by 100. So you can say that observed value is 2681.5 minus standard value is given 2710. Yes, divided by 2710, because we have absolute sign. So if answer is coming negative, you can ignore negative sign, multiply by 100. So percentage difference you will find between the densities is 1.05%, or 1.1, or just 1%. You can round it off. So it is just 1%, the difference. Now let's just talk about percentage uncertainty in density. So percentage uncertainty in density, is because we have a mass over volume, so you know that delta M by M plus delta V by V into 100. This is the percentage uncertainty in the density. Again, here is one more trick, because in volume we have a two equal sides and one thickness is different. So you can say that the percentage uncertainty in density is delta M by M, which is 0.01 divided by 3.62, plus two sides were same in the beginning. So you can say that it is the percentage uncertainty in the length was given 0.1 centimeter. So 0.1 divided by 0.3, but we had two similar length, so times 2, plus, and for thickness you can say that the percentage uncertainty we find in thickness was 0.01 divided by 0.48 times 100. So if you solve this, your final answer will be 3.05%, or approximately 3%. Clearly your percentage difference is less than percentage uncertainty. That means the material could be aluminium. So you will have to write a statement that yes, because the percentage difference is less than, this is the reference and this is your statement. So you must write the complete statement that the material could be aluminium. A student poured 100 centimeter cube of hot water into a beaker, the graph shows how the temperature theta of the water varied with time. So this is some graph of it's in fact it is called cooling graph, cooling of water. So temperature is decreasing with time, and this is theta in degrees Celsius, and this is time in minutes. So this is some graph. Okay, then what are they asking? Determine the gradient delta theta and upon delta t of the graph when theta is equal to 17 degrees Celsius. Easy and straightforward question. Only thing that you will have to do is find the gradient at theta equal to 70 degrees Celsius. But again, it is not a straight line, it is a curved. And you know that for a curved, how do you find the gradient? You need to draw a tangent line. So if you have some graph and you have some shape of a curve, something like this, and you need to find the gradient of that point, suppose at that value of x. So you need to draw a tangent line with the help of a ruler, and you choose 2 points on the line, and then you draw a big triangle, and then you find the gradient of this tangent line. So the gradient of this tangent line is basically gradient of the curve at that particular point. That's what you need to do exactly for with your curve at theta equal to 70 degrees. So theta is 70 degree. This is the point. So where you will have to plot a tangent line. So this is that some kind of a tangent line you can you can imagine, but when you do with your pencil, make sure that you use sharp pencil, and make sure that it looks like a tangent. And on this line, anywhere you will have to choose 2 points, but make sure that the triangle should be big enough to visualize. You don't take don't take this point and this point, something like that, and this is very small triangle, so it will not be acceptable. You will lose marks. Okay, so we will choose 2 points, any suitable points, so that we can have a big triangle. These are the two suitable points. In my opinion, you can choose some other points, so it is okay. And then you can draw a triangle, something like that, with the help of a ruler. And then you need to find the coordinate. So make sure that you draw the triangle, and the coordinate of these 2 points will be, you can see, you can read the value 1 and 74.6 and this, and then you will find the gradient. So gradient is basically delta theta over delta t. So gradient will be 74.6 minus 64.6. So y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So 1 minus 4.5. You solve this, so gradient would be equal to minus 2.857, or you can round it off and you can say minus 2.86. The unit will be Celsius per minute. So degree Celsius minute inverse. This is the gradient of the graph. Hence, calculate the rate at which the water is transferring thermal energy to the surrounding when theta equal to 70. Density is given as 1. Specific heat capacity 4.2 joule gram per gram per Kelvin. So it's all about specific heat. If you recall formula for specific heat, so formula for specific heat is delta E, which is energy transfer or heat transfer, is equal to mc delta theta. This is change in temperature, and we need to find the rate at which water transferring thermal energy. This is important statement. You must understand what does this mean. Meaning you don't need to find just E or delta E. In fact, you need to find delta E by delta T. This is rate of energy transfer because we are dividing by T. That means you need to find delta E by delta T. You don't have delta T in the formula, so you will have to introduce. So I am dividing the whole equation by delta T. So if you divide, so delta T, and then you can divide the whole, or you can write delta T only under delta theta, because clearly in this equation this is nothing but this is your gradient that you found. So you use your gradient, in fact, in the previous part, and everything is given. But again, another problem, if you read the whole question, we don't have mass, and we need mass here we don't have this, but they give us a density. And if you go back in a the question, they give you the volume. So you know that density is equal to mass over volume, and mass is equal to density into volume. So you replace mass with density into volume to figure out, so delta E by delta T. So mass is density into volume. I'm just writing formula so that you can understand: density, volume, specific heat, and then gradient. You don't need to write it, just for your understanding. So rate of energy transfer, delta E by delta T, and you just substitute the value. So density is giving as 1, volume was 100, specific heat capacity 4.2, gradient we find minus 2.86. So when you solve this, so you have answer minus 1201.2 joule per minute. And minus is showing that energy transfer and energy is coming out. So this is a exothermic process. You can ignore negative sign if you want to just write positive answer, or you can write the comment that negative answer is showing that energy is released, or delta E by delta T is equal to 1201.2 joule per minute of minute inverse. The students set up another experiment using an identical beaker in order to test the effect of insulation. The beaker was wrapped in cotton wool. He collected data to compare how the water cooled in the two experiments. State one control variable in these experiments. Clearly, you are repeating the experiment, so there are, in this particular one, there are many variable you need to control, because if you repeat, so you make sure that your mass stays the same. You take, every time you take the same amount of water, or you can say volume of the water should be the same, or you can say temperature of surrounding. Any one of these you can write. Temperature of surrounding should stays the same in every reading. So any one of these you can write. Describe how results of these two experiments should be compared. Clearly we found energy transfer. So you can say that you can compare the change in temperature with time, delta theta with delta T, and compare it with delta E by delta T, how they are varying in two different experiments, with insulation and without insulation. Or even you have more choices to write here. You can compare how fast temperature is decreasing in equal interval of time, or how long it is taking for equal change in temperature. So you have many options to test your idea or to compare your result. So you can say that a student can compare the gradient of the graphs, then compare the rate of energy. So gradient is basically delta theta over delta T, and rate of energy transfer. So you can compare these two quantity from both of the graph, with insulation, without insulation, or you can do these two. It's up to you. You will have to write any two, any one. That's what you need to compare. Okay. So explain whether repeat measurements are appropriate for this experiment. In my opinion, it is not appropriate. No. The reason is because whenever you say something, give some comment, you need to give your reason. So in my opinion, it is not appropriate. The reason is because once you do one experiment one time, in that time energy is transferred to the surrounding, so due to which temperature of the surrounding does not stays the same, whether you will have to wait for a longer time to make the temperature same, and then you start repeating your experiment. So because temperature of the surrounding is going to change due to emission of heat from the water, it's not a good idea to repeat the experiment. The force F between two bar magnet placed at a distance x apart can be measured using the apparatus shown. So this is some apparatus. One magnet is placed on a weighing machine, mass balance, top pan balance, and one is above. Okay, black means they have a same pole, bar magnet or top pan. Okay, so a student predict that F varies with X according to the relationship. So this is some relationship that the students is giving, where A and B are some constant. Describe how the apparatus could be used to investigate this relationship. Your description should include any additional apparatus that may be required. Yes, so you can say that the whole apparatus can be used in a way that first the mass of this first magnet, I'm calling it magnet 1 and then magnet 2. So the first we measure the mass of the magnet 1 without the magnet 2, and we noted down the initial mass of the magnet, and then we put the second magnet, and then we measure the distance with the help of a meter rule. This is the additional instrument that we're going to need. Okay, so with the help of a meter rule, we measure the distance and we measure the change in mass, if it is increase or decrease, and then we keep changing, varying the distance x between the two magnets, and we observe change in mass in every time. That's how the setup can be used. Describe how data collected in A should be used to verify this relationship. So the relationship was given as F is equal to AX to the power B. Clearly, this is an exponential equation. Exponential equation. And if you need to confirm the validity of this equation, so it is the best idea to convert this exponential equation into logarithmic equation, ln equation, log form. So if you take log on both sides, so you can say that ln f is equal to ln a x to the power b, and you apply the log rule. So log of a plus b log of x, and then you rearrange ln f is equal to b log x plus log a. Clearly, if you see, you can plot a graph between log of f on the y-axis and log of x on the x-axis, and you plot the graph. And from the graph, you should have a straight line, and then gradient of this straight line should be constant, which is this. So that's what you need to write. You need to describe this process. You need to write this, that we are going to plot, or the student should plot the graph of log of x of on y-axis, log of x on x-axis, and then there will be a straight line. The gradient should be constant. If gradient is constant, that means the given relation is valid. That's what you need to explain. Question number 4. A student investigated the vertical oscillation of damped mass spring system using the apparatus shown. Some apparatus is given, a spring is connected, some cardboard disc, and so on. State what is meant by damping. Damping means if you remove, remove energy, then amplitude of the oscillation is decreased. So basically, the damping means due to damping factor, amplitude of the oscillation is decreased in every oscillation. So from any oscillating system, if you remove energy, then amplitude is decreased. That kind of motion is called damping motion or damping oscillation. It is suggested that the relationship between the amplitude A and the number n of the oscillation is A is equal to A naught e to the power minus lambda n, where A naught is initial amplitude and lambda is decay constant. Explain why the graph of ln A against n can be used to determine lambda. So if you see, again, this is the same procedure, same exponential equation. So what you're going to do, you need to first rearrange this equation in the form of log. So you apply log of A is equal to log of A naught into e to the power minus lambda n, and then you apply the log rule. So log of A naught plus log of E. I am doing every step so you can understand. Log of E minus lambda n. You can skip this step, the second one. So log ne, this is gone, and then minus lambda n comes down. So you can rewrite minus lambda n plus log of a naught. This is log of a. Clearly, you will have to give a statement. The equation can be compared. So the equation can be compared. I'm sorry about my writing, really. So can be compared with y is equal to mx plus c, where m is the gradient. So in given equation, m is minus lambda n. So that's how you can write. So gradient is minus lambda n, gradient of the line. So graph of log of a versus n, then gradient should be equal to minus lambda n. That's how you can explain these things. The student pulled the mass down at a distance of 115 centimeter from the equilibrium position. He released the mass and recorded the amplitude every oscillation for 6 oscillations. He repeated the experiment several times and calculated mean amplitude as shown. So this is mean amplitude in centimeter. This is number of oscillation. Plot graph of ln A against n on the grid. Use additional column to record your process data, because you know that we had equation log of A is equal to minus lambda n plus ln A naught. So we need ln A value. This is mean value A. So third column is given for to find the log of A. But remember, you need to fill this heading and then calculate ln of every digit, meaning ln of ln of or ln of 13.8, ln of 12.5, ln of 11.8, and so on. If you do that, then you have these numbers. I rounded off till 3 significant figures. There's one key point in log values. When you calculate the log, this log has no unit. Remember, because you are calculating log of some number. This number has a unit, centimeter, but A, which is measured in centimeter, you are calculating log. So overall log does not have any unit. Okay, so this is the process data. Use your graph to determine the value of lambda. So we have two parts here, because next slide we have a graph. We need to find lambda from the graph. Remember, lambda is nothing. So gradient is equal to minus lambda. We can figure out lambda is equal to minus of the gradient. So let's go to the next slide. This is the graph given. And again, this is the data that we have. So we take log of A on y-axis and n on x-axis. Choose y is a scale, so you can cover 50%, more than 50% of the region of the graph. So this is value of n 1 to 6 and value of log of A from 2.2 2.6. It is not necessary that you always start origin with 0. You can start from any number. You can, okay, so that's how you can plot the graph. And then when you plot corresponding value, so these are the point. There is one thing. When you plot the graph, make sure that avoid plotting dot, because this is something that I came to know with discussing with the examiner. So they said that if you plot the dot, then this dot might cover your more than half of your the small box. If the dot is covering more than half of your small box, then you will lose your marks. So it is suggested that instead of dot, we should use cross. So this cross showing the point. And because I did on this screen, so you might have a little bit different or a little bit closer. And after that, we will have to plot the best line fit. Clearly, if you see these 2 points and these four, this is I'm taking as anomalous result, because if I consider this, then my line will be slightly difficult. So I consider this as anomalous, and then I will plot the graph in between these four lines. So that's how you can see the line is passing through from these 3 points and equidistance from these 2 points on either side. So this is my best fit line. And then this is my first part, plot the graph. I did. And now I need to find the gradient, because I need to find the lambda. For lambda, I need 2 points. And then for 2 points, I will have to choose 2 points on the line. These are the 2 points that I'm choosing, and I will have to draw the triangle here, something like this. And then coordinate of these 2 points are these. And then you can find the gradient. So gradient would be equal to 2.55 minus 2.35 y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. 2.5 minus 6.5. So gradient would be 0.2 minus 4, of course, 0.2 minus 4. So gradient is minus 0.05. This is your gradient. Remember, there will be no unit for that gradient, because n is number of oscillation and this is log of a. So now for lambda is minus of the gradient. So lambda is equal to minus of minus 0.05. So lambda is equal to 0.05. The student modified the experiment by using a data logger attached to a position sensor. Explain how this may lead to more accurate value for A. Clearly, one advantage is the parallax error. Data logger can remove parallax error, and then we can have chance for more data point, more sample point to collect, to increase the accuracy of our investigation or our experiment. Thank you very much. I hope you understood. We will see you in the next video. Have a nice time.